Hi, welcome back and thanks for joining me. This is Jonna with Purple Girl Crafts. As you can see, the card that we're making today has a little bit of thickness to it. This may require some additional postage. I'm calling this an accordion step card only because it has the four different angles and it almost looks like steps, sort of. It requires no die cuts. This was cut with a trimmer and then score with your scoreboard. I did draw the cows that are attached. It is pretty quick to make, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we'll need is our scoreboard. And we're going to cut our base colors, and this is the mauve or rust color paper. This first piece is 5 by 7, and then you'll need a piece that is 6 by 5. You'll need another of the same color that is 5 by 5. And then you'll need another piece again, same color. This one is 5 by 4. And I am including your centimeters up on top. Then we need the pattern paper, 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. A piece that is 4 3/4 by 5 3/4. A piece that is cut at 4 3/4 by 4 3/4, and a piece that is cut at 4 3/4 by 3 3/4. Then we've got some extra pieces, and this is just of the layered paper. As long as these are 2.5 inches wide, it doesn't really matter on the length, as long as they'll cover, and I'll show you that. But this is just scraps that I had left over, so we're going to use these. So on these 3 pieces, we are going to score these at 1/2, 1, 1.5, and 2. And so you should have your 3 or 4 score lines that you just made. So I'm going to do that to the other 2 pieces. And again, the length, because we can trim these down, so we just want to make sure they're long enough to fit on the card, and I'll show you that as we get further along. So next, we're going to take the bottom layers and we're going to mark these. So I'm going to turn them upside down just so it's easier to see. You're going to mark them from the end at 2 inches. And you can do it on both sides if you want, or you can just do it on the one side. You don't need to draw a line through. You just want a 2-inch mark. So it doesn't matter on this. I'm just going to do them all at one time. Oops, turn that one over. And you want to make sure you're doing it on the longer side, not the 5-inch side. Okay, so all of those have a 2-inch mark, and we probably should have put it on both sides, and I'll show you why as we get there. So I'm going to move the trimmer out of the way, or the scoreboard, we don't need that. We're actually going to grab our trimmer. And now we are going to cut these. So what we're going to do is on these pieces, we are going to cut at an angle. So we're going to go from that 2-inch mark to the corner. But you want to do these in opposite direction, and that's where I should have put the second mark. So again, I'm going to line it up so my mark is in the track, and then the point of the card on the other side, and I'm just going to trim that off. So that's for the largest of the base piece. For the second piece, and this is going to be the piece that is 6 inches. So it's just one that's just a little bit smaller, but it's going to go the opposite direction. So we actually need to put the 2-inch mark on the other side. So I'm just going to line this up in my trimmer. I'm just going to put that 2-inch mark on the other side, and then we're going to cut it. So we're going to line it up. So it's on the opposite side now. And we're going to go from the corner to the 2-inch mark. So when you flip that over, it should be the opposite direction like I'm showing you here. Now for the next one, this one will be right. So we're just going to do that from the 2-inch mark down. That will be the opposite direction, so you want to go every other side on this. And then for the last one, again, it needs to go the other way. So I need the 2-inch on that side. So I'm going to put this on my trimmer, just line it up, put the mark at 2 inches, and then I'm going to flip this back over so you can see again. So when we line this up, we're going to cut it from the left to the right at 2 inches. So I'm going to put it again, the point of the edge down to that 2-inch mark, and then cut it, just so that you're going the opposite direction. So you should have 2 going with your angle starting at the right and then down and then left down, just like that. Then on the layer pieces, we're going to do the same thing, but I found the easiest thing to do, because these are already cut 1/4 of an inch smaller on each side. I'm going to move my trimmer. We're going to line this up, we're going to flip it over, and I'm just going to draw a line. And I'm going to do that on all 4 pieces, just so that we've got those already marked. So line it up, make sure it's even, flip it over, and then just draw that line. Now we're going to cut in on that line about 1/4 of an or 1/8 of an inch, but we're going to use that as our guide. Just makes it easier than having to figure out where to cut it. So once those are all complete, let's do the last one. We'll line up this last one, turn it over, and then we'll just draw that line. Okay, so we'll move those to the side. We're going to grab our trimmer again, and we're going to take one of the pieces, and it doesn't matter which one. So I'm going to put it on the trimmer. I'm going to line up that line, but I'm not going to line it up on my track. I'm going to line it up on that first white line on the trimmer. So I'm going to take that track and line it up just right here as I'm showing you. And what happens is it should be right about at the point of the card, and then just a little bit past that line we drew. So you're just taking off about 1/8 of an inch from that line. So we'll cut that piece off, and then I'll grab the base piece, and as you can see, it is lined up. So that is your first piece that you did. So we'll take our next piece, again, line up that line so it's even with that first edge of past your trimmer. I'm going very slow just to make sure I've got those in there just perfectly. And then when we line this up, see if I can pick this up, and you have an even border all the way around. So we'll do the last 2. Another way you could do this is you could cut the piece exactly the same, and then you could trim it and then trim all the edges around. This just makes it a little bit easier, because you could trim your top piece and your bottom piece the same, and then you can go around and trim off 1/4 inch on each side to make it even. But this is much easier to do it this way. Okay, so for the last piece, we're just going to line that up and then make sure it looks good. Okay, so those pieces for our base and our layers are now done. Now we're going to take these 3 extra pieces that we had scored, and we're just going to score out all these lines. So you can just start in the middle. It doesn't matter if you go the wrong direction. You can fold these all the same way and then turn them and fold them mountain valley if you want. It doesn't matter how you do it, just as long as you've got them folded and creased out. So I'm doing the middle, and then I'm going to fold this piece back and then crease it out, and then do the whole thing again and then crease it out. And you want to make sure those creases are really, really creased. So we'll do it on the next 2 pieces. And again, these are just scrap pieces. As long as they're long enough to go on the side of the card, it's okay. They don't have to be any certain length, because we can cut them down. Can't add to them, but we can cut them down. So as you can see on this one, I folded it all in the same direction, and then I'm just going to take it and fold it valley, mountain, valley when I'm done. Okay, so that's my second piece, and then the last one. It's easier sometimes to start in the middle, and it's also sometimes you can just like start the folds. It just makes it easier. Just want to make sure they're lined up and even. And then again, just do this as a mountain and a valley. And a mountain. Okay, those pieces are now done. So next, we are going to take the base of the card and we are going to glue the mat onto the layer. I'm going to just use my tape. You could use glue for this, but I'm just going to use the tape because it's faster. So I'm just going to put it on all the sides of this one. And I'm going to speed through the video and I'm going to put tape on just the layer pieces on the rest of these. And then what I like to do is also use my bone folder just to push that tape down. It helps to make sure that it's sticking so that when you pull it off, it does stay down. Then we are going to attach all of these, and I'm just lining these up so we know which piece goes with which. And then we are going to secure these to the cards. So I'm going to start with the first one. I'm going to pull the tape off part way on 3 of the sides. On the smaller side, I'm just going to take that off because I don't think that will really help with anything. And then I'm going to flip it over. I'm just going to lay this on the card, making sure that it's even. And it's got that nice border all the way around. And then once you've got it laid down, just pull those tabs and then just go ahead and secure it with your bone folder again. All right, so I'm going to fast forward through this and finish putting all of these together. So now all of those pieces are now complete. We're going to work on the side pieces next. Now again, as long as these are not too short, you should be fine. If they're too long, we can cut them back. So I've got the base piece first, and then one of the side pieces that we're going to use. I'm going to grab the next piece up and just make sure that this is going to be okay, that it's not too long, which it's not. So right now I'm just going to put glue, and it doesn't matter what side you start on. I'm going to put glue on one of these flaps, and I'm going to put it on the inside of the flap. Then I'm going to turn this over because I want the card, the color to be on the outside. So I'm going to flip this over so you can see I'm gluing this so that the color is facing outward on the card. And then again, I'm going to secure that down. And that will sit on the card like that. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take the glue and we are going to glue the one side down before we finish putting on that little tab. So I'm going to put glue just on the very edge of this side, other side. So not the side that you just put that little piece on, just the plain side, and glue it to that bottom piece. And I want to make sure that it's lined up with the edge on the bottom and the side. So it'll look like that. Then I'm going to flip this over, just so you can see. I'm just going to pull this out a little bit. You don't have to push that down because you're going to pull it back up. But we're going to put tape on the other piece. And I'm going to pick this piece back up. I'm going to just lay that in and then just close that on itself. And you want to make sure that it's even on the side of the card. So now you've got the one side down, and then you've got the other side that will kind of come out like an accordion. We're going to do the next piece. we're going to do the opposite side. So we're going to glue, again, one of these pieces that we folded to the left side. So I'm going to put tape or glue on this. And you could use tape if you want it. I just like the glue because if you need to reposition it, you have time to reposition it. I'm going to line it up so it's even with the edge. Make sure that's glued down. And then I'm going to take this and just snip off this extra piece because we don't need it. So that's where if it's too long, we can get rid of it because it doesn't need to be there. Then we are going to glue that side now, the opposite side. We're going to glue the accordion to the side that we glued by itself. So we're going to put glue on that one ledge and then just line it up so it's with the edge of the card and the bottom of the card, and then just glue that down. And again, I'm sorry, I'm off camera. I'm just making sure that it's lined up on all two sides. Then again, we're going to take and we're going to flip up this flap and we're going to put glue, just a small thin line on that edge because we just want to glue that down to the other side. So you have accordion now on one side of each side of the card, if that makes sense. So your card will look like this. So you'll have an accordion on each opposite side, and then the other side will be closed or glued to itself. So we're going to do the final side. I know this one is way too big, as I had said, but we can cut it off. So we're going to glue this. So this time I'm just going to put glue. You can put glue on either side of the piece or on here. It doesn't matter. I'm going to make sure that it's facing outward. Going to line it up. I'm going to take my glue and we're going to just snip off that extra piece. Then we're going to take and we're going to glue this piece now down to the card. Gets fixed to glue there. Okay, so we're going to put glue on that last flap. First we're going to glue the other side. Sometimes it's easier if you glue it to itself first so that you know that you've got it lined up with the edge of the card. And once you know you have that down, then you can go ahead and put the other side on. And then just lift this up, put glue on this last flap, close that flap back down, and then just secure it to the card. And now I'm just making sure that it's even on all four sides. Because I use the wet glue, I have just a little bit of time to maneuver it and move it around should I need to. So that's what your card looks like. It kind of looks like a step card, an accordion card. It kind of goes back and forth. Going to start with the embellishments next. So I have my little tray. I like to keep my pieces in a lid, and I got these little containers at Michael's for $1. But when I do all my cards, I put all my pieces in there because otherwise I cut stuff out, I lay it down, I lose it like most of us. So this helps to make sure I've got all my parts when I'm making my cards. So right now I'm just lining up these cowls. I just want them to be on the edge of the card, but I don't want him hanging over too far. So I'm going to start with the top one because I want to make sure that he's not taller than 7 inches so the card will fit in the envelope. I'm just kind of playing around with these just to see how I want them to sit. And this is where you could decorate this card in any way. You could have balloons coming out of it. You could have just all kinds of things. Let your imagination soar with this one. I just like the design of the card. I think it'll be fun just to create some different kinds of cards with it. So I'm going to put the cow on the edge like he's got his hands over and he's kind of like hanging over the edge of the card. And right now I'm just making sure because I've got feet, I want to make sure they all match. So we're going to sit these just about like this, just about like that. So that's where I generally want them. So as long as I start with one, so I'm going to just sit here and just glue all these down. Again, you could use, a party theme. You could do an Easter bunny with Easter eggs. That would be really cute. Any kind of design that you want it to. So I like the animals like they're peeping out, like they're peering, like they've popped up out of the card. So I'm going to glue all of these down. I'm just putting the hands just so it looks like he's just coming over the edge. And again, you could use your quick grab glue or you could use tape, anything that you wanted on these. So that's the first one. I kind of like how he's sitting there. And then I'm going to do the next two on the other 2 layers. I want to make sure that he's not overhanging, so I'm kind of moving him to the side. I have him over more. I've got their eyes like they're looking at each other, so I've got him looking up at the other cow. And then for the last one, we're going to put him at the bottom. Yeah, we'll leave him there. Looks better there. Okay, that's it for the decoration for that part. And then I have this thank you so much sign, and I'm just going to put this at the bottom. We're just going to make sure that's centered. You could put foam dots on this. I just figured the card is already thick enough with the 2 sides because it will be about 1/4 of an inch thick when it's closed. So I don't need any additional dimension on here to make the card thicker than what it already is. And then for the last piece, we're going to add just a couple of embellishments. And I'm just going to add them to the thank you very much part of the card. We'll put one about here. And then we'll put 2 at the bottom. So again, I want to thank you for joining me. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. If you make this card, please tag me in it because I would love to see what your ideas and how I inspired you. Until next time, happy crafting, and I hope to see you real soon. Bye-bye.